Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're taking a close look at Genius Group. You sent us a collection of recent news and analysis, and we've synthesized it to give you the key insights. Our mission, really, is to unpack what's happening with this AI-powered education company. From recent headlines to its financial health without getting overwhelming.
hmm And we've got quite a bit to work with. News from May 11th, 2025, analysis from that same date, even a detailed due diligence report.
So it gives us a pretty good multifaceted view of where Genius Group stands right now.
We'll definitely need to touch on that recent hacking of the CEO's X account.
Oh, yeah. And the 2024 financials, that big jump in net asset value, but also the revenue dip. That's interesting.
And the ongoing REO lawsuit, can't forget that.
Definitely not. We'll also get into their market position in edtech, risks, opportunities, what analysts might be thinking. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's start with those high-profile events. So May 11th, 2025, Genius Group announces CEO Roger Hamilton's X account was hacked.
Right.
They're investigating, planning legal action. But the real point here is, what does this do to the company's reputation, investor trust?
Yeah, a CEO's social media getting compromised, that definitely can make investors a bit nervous, can't it?
It certainly can.
Then there's that RICO lawsuit, filed back in April 2025 against Michael Moe and Peter Ritz. They're seeking over $450 million. Now, for anyone not familiar, RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, it implies a pattern of, well, alleged criminal activity.
It's serious stuff.
Very. And regardless of the outcome, the long-term effects can be huge for Genius Group, financially, reputationally.
These kinds of legal fights can just drain resources and create a lot of uncertainty about what's next.
Okay, so turning to the financials for 2024, this is where it gets quite interesting.
It really does. The net asset value, or NAV, it surged. Went from about $19.7 million in 2023 up to $79.4 million in 2024.
Wow, that's a massive increase.
It is. And you have to ask, what's driving that? What factors could possibly contribute to such a huge jump in NAV?
Especially when, in the same breath, revenue actually decreased. Dropped from $23.1 million in 2023 down to just $7.9 million in 2024.
Right. And the company points to restructuring those ongoing legal battles we mentioned.
Okay, but how common is that kind of divergence? NAV soaring while revenue tanks. What's that signal?
It's pretty unusual. Usually you'd expect some correlation. It might suggest they've revalued assets significantly, maybe IP, maybe other holdings.
Or sold off parts that made money but kept assets that look valuable on paper.
That's possible, too, part of the restructuring, perhaps. But it definitely warrants a much closer look to understand the real underlying reasons. It suggests, for you listening, maybe a focus on long-term asset value over immediate cash flow.
Got it. And adding to that complexity, they reported a total comprehensive loss of $25.0 million in 2024. That's way up from a $5.9 million loss in 2023. How does that bigger loss fit with the restructuring and the revenue drop?
Well, the restructuring itself costs money. Severance, closing things down, reorganizing, that all hits the bottom line.
And lower revenue means less coming in to offset expenses.
Plus, the legal fees from these disputes likely add up, too. It paints a picture of a company in, let's say, significant transition, which often means short-term financial pain.
Like spending money now, hoping for gains later.
Potentially, yes.
So looking forward, they're projecting $10 to $13 million in revenue for 2025. What needs to happen for them to hit that?
Well, first, the core business needs to stabilize after all this restructuring.
Okay.
And hopefully things quiet down on the legal front, or at least don't get worse. Maybe successful new product launches, market expansion.
But given the recent volatility, how much confidence should investors have in that projection?
I'd say cautious optimism is probably the way to go. You want to see some solid proof in their upcoming reports that things are turning around before really banking on that number.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. What does Genius Group actually do? We know AI-powered edtech.
Right. They focus on personalized learning. Target audiences include entrepreneurs, but also K-12 students. They claim over 5.4 million users, 100-plus countries.
So it's a crowded edtech market out there. What makes their AI approach stand out, supposedly?
Well, the promise of AI in learning is tailoring things, analyzing how someone learns, their pace, where they struggle, and giving customized feedback or content.
More effective than just a standard online course for everyone.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Whether their AI actually delivers that effectively, the sources don't give us deep technical details, but that personalization focus, plus the niche on entrepreneurs, that's how they seem to position themselves.
They also have these two segments, Education, the courses, consulting for entrepreneurs, and campus.
These,
Physical spaces.
yes, physical locations for networking, maybe some hands-on learning. It's a hybrid model.
How does that stack up against purely digital players like, say, Coursera or Udemy?
It's a differentiator, isn't it?
Yeah.
The physical spaces could build a stronger community, offer experiences you just can't get online.
Could lead to stickier users, maybe? More engagement?
Potentially. It adds complexity and cost, of course,
Yeah.
but it offers something unique.
Now, here's another interesting angle. They call themselves a Bitcoin treasury company.
Yeah, that's not typical for an education company.
Not at all. What are the potential upsides and, well, the obvious risks of mixing crypto into their strategy?
The potential benefit could be asset diversification, maybe capturing some upside if Bitcoin performs well. The risk is, well, Bitcoin's volatility. It's huge. And regulatory uncertainty around crypto.
And we saw they cut their Bitcoin holdings quite drastically, from 440 down to 66. What's the likely reason there?
That strongly suggests they decided to de-risk. Maybe market conditions change, maybe their strategy shifted, or maybe they just wanted less exposure to that volatility while they're restructuring. It shows active management of that position at least.
Okay, let's talk strengths and potential red flags. Strengths mentioned: large global user base, the AI personalization aspect, diverse revenue streams, potentially. Which of those feels most critical?
That's a good question. The user base gives them scale. The diverse streams could offer resilience. But I agree with you. The AI personalization, if it's genuinely effective.
That could be the real key differentiator long term, right? In a field getting more crowded.
I think so. But then the red flags. Exposure to crypto markets, even reduced. And limited transparency on detailed financials.
How should someone thinking about investing weigh those risks?
You have to look at your own tolerance for risk, really. The crypto adds an unpredictable element. The lack of deep financial detail makes it harder to do your own thorough analysis.
You're weighing that potential AI innovation against these question mark.
Precisely. And that due diligence report really hammered the ongoing legal stuff as a major risk.
Right, the RECO case especially. How badly can suits like that actually hurt a company's operations and its value?
Oh, significantly. It's a massive distraction for management. For one, huge legal costs.
Drains resources that could go into the business.
And it damages reputation, makes investors wary. Depending on the outcome, it could mean massive financial penalties. It definitely casts a shadow over the valuation. It's like trying to run a race with a heavy weight tied to your ankle.
Okay. What about market sentiment? Competition. News seems focused on those 2024 earnings we had discussed. What are investors likely digging for in those reports?
They want clarity. Why did revenue drop? Can you explain the NAV jump in more detail? How's the restructuring actually progressing? Any updates on the lawsuits?
And proof that the 2025 projection is realistic.
Absolutely. Evidence to back up that $13 million target.
Now, competitors. Coursera, Udemy were mentioned. Huge players.
Massive. Millions and millions of users.
So how does Genius Group, with its focus on entrepreneurs and that hybrid model, compete? Is it an advantage or a disadvantage against that scale?
It's kind of both, isn't it? The niche focus and the physical campuses give them a unique angle, potentially attracting a specific audience that Coursera or Udemy don't cater to as directly.
So maybe they carve out a profitable niche.
That would be the goal. But they're still up against the massive brand recognition, content libraries, and marketing budgets of the big guys. It's a challenge. They need to really execute well on their unique points.
What about analyst ratings? The sources said neutral to positive, but kind of vague. Where would you typically look for more detailed sentiment?
You'd look for specific analyst reports from investment banks or research firms that cover the stock, if any do. Financial data platforms often aggregate ratings and price targets too. But for smaller companies, that coverage can sometimes be limited.
Makes sense. Looking ahead then, what are the potential catalysts? Upcoming earnings reports, maybe expansion into new markets?
Those are the key ones mentioned.
So in the next earnings report, what specifically should people watch for?
Signs of revenue stabilizing, maybe even ticking up. Updates on restructuring costs and progress. Any news, good or bad, on the legal front.
And data supporting that 2025 forecast.
Crucially, yes. And maybe metrics on user engagement, both online and in those physical campuses, if they provide them.
On the flip side, key risks moving forward. Regulatory eyes on crypto holdings, and just more competition in ed tech generally.
Right. If crypto regulations tighten, that could force more changes to their treasury strategy at compliance costs.
And AI and ed tech is moving fast. Everyone's jumping in.
Exactly. They need to keep innovating just to stay relevant, let alone lead. If competitors roll out better AI features, Genius Group could lose its edge pretty quickly. It's a constant race.
And let's just circle back to that core puzzle. The 303% NAV growth versus the revenue decline in 2024. How sustainable is that? What needs to change for revenue to catch up?
That kind of gap.
Mm.
It's almost certainly not sustainable long term. You need revenue eventually to justify the asset valuation.
So what needs to happen?
Successful restructuring, first and foremost.
Huh.
Then they need to attract and, importantly, retain paying customers for their courses and services, converting those millions of users into more revenue.
And maybe getting the legal issues resolved, or at least clarified.
That would lift a major cloud, definitely. So ultimately, revenue needs to start growing again to validate that NAV figure.
Okay, so wrapping up on Genius Group. It's quite a mix, isn't it? AI education, physical campuses, a Bitcoin angle.
Intriguing, definitely, but also complex. That recent hacking, the weird financials with NAV up and revenue down, the big RIEO lawsuit, lots of moving parts.
So for you, the listener, what we see is a company in a really hot sector, EdTech, but facing some pretty significant hurdles alongside its opportunities.
That NAV jump next to the revenue fall is a really key thing to ponder. Is it real underlying strength being unlocked, or is it more of a temporary financial maneuver?
And the outcome of those legal battles feels critical.
Absolutely. So this analysis gives you a good starting point, we hope. But as always, you absolutely need to do your own homework. Look at the official filings. Keep an eye on news about the lawsuits.
What are your own thoughts on mixing education and crypto? Or what other AI education companies are catching your eye?
We'd be interested to hear.
And if you found this exploration helpful, please do subscribe, like the show, leave a comment. We're always looking for new companies and topics to explore for you.
Until next time, keep learning.
And stay informed.